From our studios in Olympia, Washington, TCTV presents South Sound Seniors, news and views featuring the people, places, and events that impact our growing senior community here in the South Sound region. Our program is presented as a community service to inform and involve you and yours in the lives of older adults. Your host for South Sound Seniors is the Executive Director of Senior Services for South Sound, Eileen Mackenzie Sullivan.
Welcome to South Sound Seniors, a program for and about older adults in our community. And tonight's show is all about the Senior Action Network. We're so glad to be a SAN member who really works together to bring the programs and businesses in our community that work for seniors. We network, we work for seniors in our community. And tonight we have the guest of Emily Bergkamp and Aaron Pratt, both members of Senior Action Network. Welcome.
Thank you.
And you are members because you are part of Intercity Transit.
That's right.
Right. How long has IT been part of SAN? Has it been like maybe 10, 12 years?
I think
like
quite
that?
Possibly, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many of our seniors rely on Intercity Transit to get around. Mm-hmm. So many do. A lot of seniors, of course, still drive. I think at the Olympia Senior Center, when we did a survey a few years back, about half of the people drive, about 35% ride the buses, whether that's the fixed route system or the dial-lift system, and then the other 10-15% either walk or get rides from their family. But a big portion of them ride the bus in one form or another. So for our viewing audience, a lot of people may be considering, well, what happens when I can't drive, when I...
Right.
I think you called it car-free. When I'm
Yes.
car-free, that's a positive spin, Emily.
Yes, it sure is.
Yeah.
Just add an E and it's
That's
carefree.
Right. That's right. So, Emily, tell me a little bit about what does somebody do that lives in the Intercity Transit Service area when they aren't driving anymore, when they are car-free or carefree?
Well, I certainly hope that they'd look us up and give us a call and find out what we can offer, because I do feel like when you give up your car, it doesn't mean the end to having readily available transportation. I think Intercity Transit provides a great service in town. What is really nice, especially about the regular bus service, or what we sometimes call the fixed route service, is that many times the buses are coming by every 15 to 30 minutes. It makes it very convenient. For those with some mobility issues, as we get a little bit older, you're using a walker or a wheelchair, we have ramps, and also the buses kneel, so you don't have to make...
so amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. So you don't have to take a big step up, and they'll lower the bus so you can get on easily. And we also save seating towards the front as priority seating for seniors and people with disabilities. So you have a nice seat right next to the driver. The drivers are always super sweet, very courteous. They'll answer any questions that you have. And our buses are clean. They're also really safe. We have onboard cameras and really expertly trained drivers that know how to handle different traffic and driving situations. So it's a great viable option for seniors who are looking to give up their car.
Yeah.
And we also have dial-a-lift, which I'll talk a little bit more about later.
Well, the amazing thing is, too, I've noticed more and more bus shelters out and around town. So even during the winter months when it's maybe raining or cold, they don't have to necessarily wait out in the open. There's lots of shelters available for people.
Yes, which is great. We have a committee at IT that works on bus stop improvements and how to make it easier for people when they're waiting for the bus, as well as solar lighting now. We have some stops that are well lit so that somebody can feel safe while they're waiting for the bus, as well as it's easier for the driver to see them when they're coming up to a bus stop. It's kind of a win-win.
Right.
And then we also have a great service for people who don't know how to ride the bus called travel training, and that was what Aaron
going to be my next question. So, Aaron, you're a travel trainer, right?
Yes.
And I kind of got to know that because you've been at the Senior Center in Olympia for a few weeks last month, kind of telling people about travel training. So, what if somebody is thinking about giving up their license, or maybe just not using their car anymore because of the price of gas and what have you? but they're a little anxious because they don't want to admit that they're kind of afraid or don't know how to ride the bus. Tell us about travel training.
Well, travel training is a service that Intercity Transit provides, and all they need to do is give us a call. Most people don't know that over 50% of 65 people that are 65 or older that are non-drivers are isolated. And they don't need to be. They can call Intercity Transit, and our travel trainers, which I am one, we go to their home and meet them, find out what their needs are, what their concerns are, and then we make a trip where they'd like to go, and we travel with them. So it's a win-win situation. They learn how to be comfortable on the bus. Someone's riding with them. It's not as scary. Tomorrow I have a client that I'm meeting that's 86 years old. Her husband just passed away 2 months ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so he did most of the driving. And she does have family that does take her some places, but she wants to be more independent. So we're going to be traveling on the bus. And she said sometimes she doesn't like to walk outside because it's cold and rainy, but no one else does either, she says.
Sounds like she's got a good positive attitude. Yeah.
She does, she does.
Yeah,
So I'm
I bet-
excited to meet her.
Yeah, I bet you meet some wonderful people.
Oh, I do. And
Yeah.
it is so rewarding to see someone, be able to get out of the house and be independent.
Have that self-confidence because of how you've helped them
Yeah.
learn how to do. I'll always remember the first time we interviewed somebody from IT on our South Sound Seniors. It was Jane Bohannon, and she talked about how she helped somebody who was so anxious. She did a couple trips with them, and then they were still a little anxious, so she actually followed the bus one time in her car and waved to the person and made sure, she went above and beyond the call of duty to make sure they were comfortable in riding the bus independently. I thought that was really cool. Yeah.
It is cool. But that's
Yeah.
what we do. We have all sorts of tricks to help people, like ride the route to the end and then come back. And then you can get off on the same side of the street where you don't have to cross the street. These are little tricks that maybe a travel trainer could help you with that, just reading a
point for-
schedule might not
Right.
glean those little bits of information.
For busy roads that don't have a stoplight or crosswalk, what a great idea if you've got, plus you meet more people on the bus and you see more of the town.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really great. That's cool. So tell me a little bit about what it costs. So if somebody's like really trying to economize by not spending money on gas in the car and insurance and all the other expenses of a car, might they be put off by the cost of riding Intercity Transit?
Well, that's another great thing about the cost of IT and riding the regular bus, or if people need to use Dial-A-Lift as well, is that many seniors 65 years and older are eligible for what we call reduced fares. So they get a reduced fare permit, which the initial cost of that is $3. It's a one-time cost, but it gives them a permit that allows them to ride on intercity transit buses for basically half the cost. So, for example, right now, a one-way ride would be 50 cents for a senior 65 and older with a reduced fare permit. An all-day pass would be $1, as well as monthly passes are $15. And if you doubled that, you'd see what everybody else is paying, which is really, really nice. It's a great way to get out and about and still have it be easy on your pocketbook as well.
Yeah, well, compared to the price
Definitely.
of gas and the cost of insurance and that kind of thing, a $15 bus pass sounds pretty darn good.
Yeah,
Can't wait till I'm 65. And the buses come to tonight. Oh, that's another story, though. Darn. Maybe by the time I'm 65. So $15 or 50 cents or $1, and then double that for somebody that is maybe under 65
Exactly.
and is considering. Okay.
That's right. That's right.
It's still affordable.
It is very
Yeah.
affordable. And another great thing about travel training is Erin can show you how to pay for a fare when you get on the bus. A lot of people, when they get on for the first time, they're like, I've never paid a fare. Or how do I get a ticket from the driver?
Right.
Erin will show them how to do all that good stuff. You can also get bus passes through our customer service department downtown at the Olympia Transit Center, and we'll give out all our contact information at the end of the show. And they can also help you get the reduced fare permit downtown.
Okay.
So.
Very good. Excellent. Okay, so a lot of the people that we serve at Senior Services, like through our STARS adult daycare, which Emily used to work with us and was the director of, so a lot of them might have some real problems because of cognitive issues,
Right.
or maybe they have had a stroke and they're wheelchair bound and they can't propel their own wheelchair.
Right.
So I imagine that's really when dial-a-lift is most appropriate.
Definitely, definitely. We like to talk about kind of a continuum of transportation options for seniors. For the more independent senior, the regular bus route with all of its accessibility features is wonderful, and they give Erin a call, they'll show them the ropes. Dial-a-lift is a service, it's a door-to-door service reserved for people with disabilities who can't ride the regular bus. So these truly are the folks that need a little bit more assistance, maybe the individual with Alzheimer's disease that goes to STARS, that it would be very unsafe for them to travel by themselves. Our driver arrives at their house, goes to the door, escorts them to the van, makes sure that they're safe, they get to their seat okay, and then at the other end of the destination, if they're going to the senior center, they make sure to escort them just inside the door, make sure that they get in there safely as well. It is a service that people apply for, so you can find our application online at Intercity Transit's website. And what we do with that application, it gives us some information about if somebody can ride the regular bus or if really dial-a-lift is the better option for them. And we follow up with care providers and confirm diagnosis and that type of thing. And then once they're eligible for the service, it is a book ahead system, so they can book ahead for their rides 5 days ahead of time or with as little notice as 1 day ahead of time. And they can go anywhere within our service area. It doesn't have to be just for doctor's appointments. That's probably the most common misunderstanding is people think, oh, I can only take dial-lift to doctor's appointments. It's for everything. If somebody needs to go to the grocery store or to get their hair done, it's for that too.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. I remember, when you've been around for a long time, here's one of my stories I can tell you. So it used to be it could only be for medical appointments and
Right.
doctor's appointments. So I think that was before the Americans with Disability
Yes.
Act,
Yes.
so it could only be
right.
for medical appointments. I had a very smart STARS client that Emily will remember, Don Borden, that figured out if he booked his doctor's appointments early in the morning, then he could get to the doctor's appointment and then he could go to other places from the doctor's appointment. He could go to the grocery store. He could get his hair done from the doctor's appointment. See, smart. And then he'd go back to the doctor's appointment and dial-lift would pick him up at the doctor.
Oh, he was a smart
worked away.
one.
But anyway, we don't have to do that anymore
No.
because people can get their hair done or they can get
That's right.
to the bank or whatever they need to do on dial-a-lift.
And it really was, the Americans with Disabilities Act is why we have dial-a-lift, is we have to have a complimentary service for people who can't use the regular fixed route bus. So if their disability is to a point or their physical limitations is to such a point that they can't viably use the regular bus, then we need to provide an option for them in dial-a-lift.
Okay. And how does somebody know if they live within the service area if they can get a ride?
That's a good question because we do talk to a lot of people who end up moving just outside the service area and we can't pick them up. So if you're moving, make sure to give us a call. That's the best way to know is if you either call myself or Jerry in eligibility, and if you give us your address, we can look it up because we have a wonderful computer system that shows us exactly if the address is inside or outside the boundary. And as a rule of thumb, dial-a-lift goes 3/4 of a mile around our fixed route service. And the only exception to that is out in Yelm, the 94 route, which starts around the Amtrak station all the way out to Yelm. We actually go up to 1.5 miles because it's a little bit more of a rural area out there, and that was a decision made by our board several years back. So, but most often it's 3/4 of a mile around a regular route, fixed route.
All right. And actually, our next segment of our show, we're going to be talking about some other options for people that maybe live outside the dial-a-lift area and what's available for them. But I do have another question specifically for dial-a-lift and fixed route. Now, we have a lady at the senior center who is in a wheelchair, but she's very cognitively functional. It's just if it's icy or cold or rainy, she can't propel herself to the bus stop.
Sure.
Normal, sunny day, good road conditions, she can do it. Can people use dial-a-lift and fixed route? Is that a possibility?
Absolutely. We have what's called conditional eligibility. So there's sometimes when conditions like ice or maybe if it's really dark out for somebody with macular degeneration. Under those conditions, we have them, it is okay for them to use dial-a-lift when those conditions exist. And so if somebody's interested in riding both, there's no penalty or anything like that. It's certainly allowed, and actually we encourage it because we think that the more options people have, it just increases their independence and they can get their needs met how they need to. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I think the world of intercity transit, and I want you to express our appreciation because we've been the recipients of the van donation program, and we've gotten a number of vehicles for our transportation program that goes outside of dial-a-lift's service area. And I really think Intercity Transit is just a wonderful community partner. And I thank both of you, but please express to the rest of the staff there how much we appreciate the service.
We definitely will. And it's also nice to work with everybody down at the Senior Center and at STARS because we all serve seniors, and I think it's good to have that common goal in mind and try to do the best we can and provide lots of options. So yeah.
Cool. So let's see, if somebody has a question for travel training, who do they call? How do they get a hold of you, Erin?
Our phone number is 705-5879. And so they can just give me a call, or they can call Intercity Transit, and they would connect to the travel training department.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. And if somebody had questions about dial-a-lift or other bus questions about, well, how do I find out if I can get a light at my bus stop or whatever?
Yeah.
What do they call, Emily?
Well, our main customer service line for questions about just regular bus questions is 786-1881.
Okay.
And of course 360 area code. And for questions about dial-a-lift, about am I eligible, is my address in or out, you want to call Jerry, our eligibility coordinator, and his phone number is 360-705-5896. And then, of course, for all of you tech-savvy folks out there, we're on the web at intercitytransit.com, and there's lots of information at your fingertips there as well.
And more seniors are getting tech-savvy. They want to know what's the website and how can I look it up.
That's right.
Wonderful.
And you can like us on Facebook, too.
Yeah.
And Twitter. No.
Excellent. Wow, so much.
I know.
So I just want to advocate for getting further out into the county as, as finances, I know, are the big downfall. I know you all would like to serve everybody in the county, but it is really challenging for Steamboat Island and Scott Lake and Seashore Villa, all of those kind of pockets of seniors that are just outside the service area. So I know I could probably shoot Tim Iman multiple times now, but it was that first Tim Iman initiative that shot down our great transit system and made it become more of an urban core system. So I'm just going to keep voting for transit, and hopefully someday it will reach out into the county a little bit more.
Well, thank you for your support.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you wanted to add about Intercity Transit or transportation for seniors in our community?